Good afternoon, people, and welcome back to the Blues feed again today. Chelsea is seemingly heating up in the market, and we have another reaction video for you this afternoon on a Dutch teammate of Xavi Simons. Danny, Jarell Hato is heating up with a vengeance by the sounds of it. Where are we? Where do you sit, and how do you feel about it?
I really like the move. It's a player I've been talking about all summer. I think he'll fit perfectly covering for Cucurella, which we know is a massive need. And he can also fit in at left centre back. Um, the only thing I would say that I need to see is what the price will be. Obviously, we've seen that 60 million is what Ajax wants, but then they always put high numbers in the media and then they come down. So I think anything sub 50 million would be a great deal. I think very good player, exceptional talent, and covering a lot of positions, to be honest.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think just how brilliant he is in both the left back and the centre back role is a little bit understated, to be honest. I think a lot of people think that he's somebody who can play both, but he's somebody who does play both, and he plays them both so well. I think he's had over 100 senior appearances and almost equal split in position. I think he's played about 48 games as a centre back and about 59 or something along those lines as a left back. So he really does split his role and is equally as good in both. He's not just somebody who can play in another position. He does, and he does it as equally well as he does his main position, which probably at this point is a left back. He's probably slightly more suited to that role, but I think as he gets older, he gets bigger, he gets more game intelligence and more experience. I think he will naturally progress to being more of a centre back, in my opinion. Um, the thing that I like about it the most, Danny, is giving Cucurella rest and also being an adequate backup to Levi Colwell. I think we've spoke previously that we think Badiashile will leave. Renato Vega's obviously going, who was signed as that profile last summer. Um, it's really going to help Cucurella, isn't it, going into the new season?
Oh, massively, mate. I mean, Cucurella's been one of the better left backs in the world this last 12 to 18 months, if you include the Euros from last year as well. But he's played every minute of every game for Chelsea and his country. So he needs a rest. And by resting him, you'll probably get another 5% out of him as well because he'll be fresher. So yeah, I think it's massively important for the squad, for Cucurella, but also the starting 11 because as we'll come on to in a bit, we could even see a time where you have both Cucurella and Hato into in the side at the same time. I mean, I was just looking as you were talking then about him playing left back and centre back in his whole entire career, not just talking about Ajax. He's played 88 games at left back and 70 at centre back. So like you say, he's not just a player who can play at left back and centre back. He is a player that does play both. I think we're predominantly looking at him as a Cucurella cover slash competition, but he certainly can play and cover Levi if we need him to. For Ajax, he plays more left back, and for the Netherlands, he plays more left back. But yeah, absolutely. I think
See,
overall,
I
he's a
think I think what
fantastic
you
player.
say there is quite key as well. The fact he can cover for Cucurella and he can cover for Levi, but he can also play alongside Levi as a centre back quite comfortably. I think, and it's something we've seen Chelsea do on occasions. Is play Levi and Badiashile, with Levi playing on the right of those two. And I think that's something we will see with Joel Hato as well, because he's going to come under assurances of minutes because there's no way he'd join us out otherwise. So I think he'll play a lot of games and a lot of minutes. I just think it will vary where he plays. Something I wanted to talk about were some of the stats that sort of comes with him and talk about the player in isolation really, because a lot of people will talk about his sort of his passes and his progression on the ball, but some of his defensive numbers are really really good as well. I mean, I've got to hear that he's 76.7% of tackling dribblers last season, which is a second most amongst any fullback in the top six leagues. If you add Ajax to the Dutch league to the top five European leagues, that's second amongst all fullbacks under 21, which is brilliant numbers. He's also really, really good in the air. He's won 56% of his aerial duels last season. Considering he was playing fullback probably more often than he was centre back. That's really really big numbers. And then some of the passing numbers you can see on screen here, like in the top 1% of passes completion, in the top like 10% for pretty much every passing metric near enough, bar the longer distance ones.
Yeah, pretty much. Which Ajax don't play a lot of long balls. I mean, you might look at like the overall tackles as only 2 a game and tackles won only 1.25, but they dominate the ball against pretty much everybody. So if you compare that with somebody like Cucurella, because obviously we dominate the ball a lot and we don't have to defend as much as other teams. Cucurella made 2 tackles per 90 last season and won 1.36. So they're pretty identical to Hato's numbers. So I wouldn't be too worried about that at all. I mean, they've got very similar tackles in each different region, some of them by only a couple of points. So he's a very good fit for what we're trying to do. I mean, he can play left back and go wide because he's very technical on the ball. His dribbling is very good. He's got goal threat as well. I mean, you wouldn't have said that Cucurella was a particular goal threat until last season, and Enzo Maresca got more out of that. So if you've got a player who got 3 goals and 6 assists across all of his campaign last year, you add that into a team that probably scores more goals than Ajax does across all competitions. I think you could see more of that out of him as well. I mean, he's a perfect fit for a Cucurella cover and kind of go into midfield. A lot of his dribbling style does drift him into midfield and invert into that position as well, which obviously we've seen Cucurella do quite a lot. So yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, and I really like the sort of double Dutch feel, if you like. I don't know. It's just nice to have sort of different nationalities than what we're used to in recent times. Obviously, you think back a few years, we've had the likes of Robin and Hasselbank and Carly Belarus, of course, as well, as Dutch players at Chelsea. And we've not had any for a while. So having not just one, but two coming in who have played together through the age groups and now in the senior national side, it's a nice feeling to have them both coming in. Moving on to that and seeing them both play for Chelsea, we've mocked up a couple of different systems that we could see the players playing in. This is obviously focusing a little bit more on João Hato, as we spoke about Xavi Simons yesterday. I think we're going to see him line up at either left back or left centre back. The 2 images we've got on screen now, you've got the one on the left with Hato lining up as a traditional left back. Both of these are in possession formations. So when we've got possession of the ball and sort of using how we saw us line up in the Club World Cup. Danny, what do you think about how he's going to line up when he plays as a Cucurella replacement as a left back?
Yeah, I think you can see obviously on the screen there we've got James pushing up and him kind of being into that left centre back position when we're on the ball, which I think would work very well, and we'll cover kind of what Caicedo had been doing kind of more Club World Cup when Gusto was pushing forward. But then also on the flip side, I think if you pushed him forward to kind of hold a bit more width and you started Simons at left wing and him drifting in, I think that could also work very, very well. He's aggressive, he's proactive in his defence, so he would have no issue in pressing if he's higher up the pitch. Like you mentioned, he's good in the air, so as a centre back, he can compete in there as well, kind of aerially. So yeah, I don't see it as a signing that can particularly go wrong, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. And onto the sort of in possession system on the right hand side, where we've got him in this mock up as starting as a left centre back with, as we spoke about earlier, Levi Colwill starting on the right. You could easily see either Hato or Cucurella go into midfield there. Hato maybe is the sort of left-sided centre-back on the ball, and you might see Cucurella invert next to Caicedo, allowing Enzo Fernandez to crash the box a little bit more like he was last season. Or you could easily see Hato playing that midfield role and Cucurella staying in the back three. I think that gives us a real fluidity, and sort of both players can easily switch between the two in-game, and I think both of them are intelligent enough and both of them are good on the ball enough to be able to play that position with ease without really having to think about it. They're both good receivers of the ball, fairly press resistant, and most importantly, they're both brilliant passers. So I think you could easily see him line up as a replacement for Cucurella, but also alongside him and alongside Levi Colwill, who we could easily see starting as a right centre-back in certain games, as we've seen previously. I think more so a game that we're going to dominate the ball and really need to break a team down, I think you'd see that. I think a game where maybe we'll get transition slightly, you probably wouldn't see the two of them line up together. But it just gives us another chink in our armoury and another option, really. And you can see with each player we're signing, there's not just one option. You can use them in 2 or 3 different ways. You can also then set the team up in 4 or 5 different ways. And it's going to be really, really hard to prepare to play against Chelsea next season because you're really not going to know what to expect from either the personnel, or if the personnel seems fairly consistent, the structure and the tactics and the way that they're going to line up. And I think it's a nightmare for any opposing team, to be honest.
Absolutely, mate. I think not only that, but if you take kind of some other parts of his strengths, he's very quick, so he's not going to get outpaced. He's very physical, so he's not going to struggle with the kind of transition into the Premier League. He's also Ajax's vice captain behind Jordan Henderson, so he's got that leadership qualities behind him as well, which is going to only add more leadership into a side who have got a lot of young leadership profiles. So that's certainly a benefit. And to be honest, if I could give him a bit of a comparison compared to a player who has been at the top level for a long time, I see him very similar to like a David Alaba. He can play left back, he can play centre back. He can kind of do it all. So yeah, I don't know what you think about that comparison.
I think that's a really good
Hato.
comparison, actually. Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head with a player that's been in and around the top level for the last sort of 10 years or so. There probably isn't anyone else you could compare him to it in that way. But yeah, overall, I just think that we've said it recently a few times, and I'll say it again. We are really adding clever additions this summer, and the way we're going about our business is very good and very clever. And yeah, I'm excited to see how this one pans out, and I'm excited to see these players on the pitch as soon as possible, really, to be honest, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a good deal. It makes sense on the pitch. It makes sense off the pitch. I mean, we talked about the finances. We'll have to see what the fee that comes out, but I think anything sub 50 million when we're selling Vega for 35 million is great business. So I'm all for it. I probably grade it a 7 out of 10 without seeing the finances. How about yourself?
Yeah, see, I'd probably verge for an 8 just purely because of the fact that we're finally getting that bit of cover for Cucurella.
I mean, it definitely could be an 8 or a 9, in my opinion, if we see the finances. Anything sub 50 million, kind of that 40-45 million range, yeah, absolutely, it's an 8, it's an 8.5. So yeah.
Lovely. Well, that was another reaction video, this time on Joel Hato. That's our double Dutch reactions done for the day, and hopefully Chelsea might calm down a little bit in the market, but also I don't think there's too many more to add, to be honest, apart from just getting rid of Robert Sanchez out of the pictures on your screen, and then we'll be ready. Then we'll be ready for the new season. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's absolutely, it will get most of the business done and leave Chelsea to do the opportunities that we like looking at, like maybe a goalkeeper, maybe one more attacker. But
yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that's the end of that one. Thank you for tuning in as always. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, we're getting to 1K in order to give away a 25-26 jersey. You never know, you may have Joel Hato on the back of it. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you all again soon.